Hey guys, welcome back to Ravenclaw Reads. I'm Courtney, and today I'm going through my top books of 2023. I'm so excited to be wrapping up the year and thinking about all the ways to close out the year. It is later at night that I'm filming this. I usually don't film super late, but I'm putting in the effort, y'all. I was so tired today. I had a headache, and I said, you know what? My folks want a video on Thursday. So if you're watching this and you're not subscribed, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Yep, let's do it. Let's get on board and support. So I appreciate that. So we are going to walk through my highest rated books / most liked books of every month of the year. As I was putting this list together, I thought it was interesting, the books that I ended up picking, because they're ones that I don't always talk about. And so really excited to walk through those again. So let's start with January. So in January, I found the amazing author Amy Lee and read the book Set on You. And Set on You is the first book in a series. Let's see. And this is the... it's all about sort of like these influencers. So the main girl in the story is an influencer, and she's a fitness influencer, and she starts having this sort of like enemy, hate to love you type relationship with a guy at the gym, and they decide to start dating. So they do resist dating, but what happens, they kind of poke jabs back and forth with each other at the gym. It's kind of like that, like flirtatious, you're annoying, but you're not really. But their grandparents are actually dating, and so they run into each other at their engagement party for their grandparents. And the main guy, name is, I'm looking at it on Goodreads because, you know, I don't remember names. The main guy, Scott, is a firefighter, and although he's kind of like got a rough exterior in the gym, when she starts seeing him in the family sense and with his grandmother, his grandfather, she starts seeing a softer side of him, and so then they start liking each other. So it is so good. I really like Amy Lee's writing. Her other book is on my list too, but that was my favorite book in the month of January. Then in February, Amy Lee's newest book came out, X's and O's. So if I have the book, I'll show it. If I don't, it'll be here in picture form. But X's and O's is in the same universe, and we follow our main character from Set on You's sister, and she is a book influencer, which is so niche, and it was so cute to read. And she is looking for a place to live, so she moves in with another firefighter, Trevor, and they are simply roommates, right? Like they are... he's actively dating everybody, and she's walked in on him doing everybody, and so they're just roommates, but she realizes that she hasn't ever really found love, and so she decides that she's going to reach back out to all of her exes and try to go on a date with them again to see, like, did she miss something? Like, the one that got away, did they really go away? And so she gets her roommate Trevor sort of voice on it and tries to hear from him about like her process of this dating. And obviously they start falling for each other. So I thought this was another great book by Amy Lee. She has really good writing style. The stories are not too long. Like this is like 360-ish pages. There's lots of, I'm going to try to show, there's lots of like text in the book, but it was just enjoyable the whole way through, and so definitely good. I gave it 5 stars, and I probably would want to read this again. So I always look for daily deals on Kindle. If this comes on Kindle, I would also get an edition of that because it was so good. Next up, in March, I read a middle grade novel by Patricia Park named Imposter Syndrome and Other Confessions of Alejandra Kim. I've talked about this so many times, I feel like, on my channel. I had never read a book by Patricia Kim, but I saw this somewhere on BookTube and thought I would give it a try. And this book is so good. So this is about Alejandra Kim, who is Latinx/Asian, and she is trying to navigate grief as her father has just passed away. And she wants to escape the city. She wants to finish up high school and go to college. But she has constant microaggressions coming her way, not only from the teachers in her building, but her best friend, who is another white female. And so she's feeling a little bit lost, and she has to try to carve out this space for herself and figure out her sense of belonging. And I think it's where she never thought she would be. I think she's getting more understanding better, like what the microaggressions mean and how to navigate them. Especially since like she goes to a private school in New York and all of the white kids are woke. And so, you know, she's having to navigate them not being as aware as they say that they are. So I thought this was such a good book. I did give this 5 stars. It's got 4.04 ratings on this rating on Goodreads, and I think that it is a phenomenal book that anybody could read. I suggested it to my daughter because it really touches into like the microaggressions that kids face, and they really become macroaggressions when you are one of only person of color at a school that's predominantly white. And so such a good story. Love that book. 2023 was the year of Lynn Painter for me. I found her as an author and really loved most of the books that I've read in her catalog so far. So I read in April The Love Wager, and this is an adult romance that was so good. So in this book, we are following Haley, who meets a guy, has a one-night stand, sneaks out of his apartment, and then ends up finding him on a dating app. And so they decide to go out. His name is Jack. And they realize like they really don't have that much in common. It's not a good fit. Like they should have just left well enough alone. But they do start deciding that they're going to work together and try to find somebody on the app that is a better fit. And they kind of put a little bet on who will find somebody first, which hence the name The Love Wager. And as they're on the search for the one, they end up falling for each other. They go out. They become trustworthy of each other. They tell each other secrets. They have lots of tacos together. And spoiler, they do get together because it's a romance, right? We know that. Such a good book, so well written. And this is the second book. I think the companion book is Mr. Wrong Number. That's the first book, which I also read but didn't love as much as The Love Wager. But yeah, this story was really good. I highly recommend it. I also gave this 5 stars. This year was also the year of Abby Jimenez for me, and I read some of her books, but the one that stood out the most came in May when I read the book Yours Truly. This was my Book of the Month Club book, but also a really great find. I did a lot of road tripping this year for my job, and I would listen to her books on audio, and I really loved this one. So this book follows 2 doctors in the same, they work in the same hospital, and Dr. Brianna is trying to go up for a new role. They bring in a new doctor, Dr. Jacob, and he seems like the shoo-in for the role, and so obviously she feels some kind of way because she's being negated for that job, and she's been here, and they bring in some guy, and he's going to take it on, and so they don't get along at first, and Jacob tries to break the ice by sending her a letter, and then she kind of writes back. Next thing you know, they're fake dating, and it is such a cute book. Now, Jacob, and I think in all of Abby Jimenez's book, there is a little bit of a discussion of accessibility or disability, and in this book, Jacob deals with anxiety, and it's written really well and respectfully, but it was such an enjoyable listen as I did it on audiobook, but highly recommend this book. I think I also gave this a 5 star because these are all the books that would be 5-star books for me. Really enjoyed this one. If anybody asks me for a recommendation of a book to read and I don't know what their style is, I tell them about this next book, which is Yellowface by R.F. Kuang. This book not only makes me seem like I don't only read romances, but it was fascinatingly amazing. I gave this 5 stars and read this in June. This book follows 2 writer friends, June and Athena. June is a struggling writer. Athena and June go to school together for writing, but Athena has way more success. One night, June and Athena spend some time together, and Athena passes away while in June's presence, and June is at Athena's house. June takes that opportunity to steal the manuscript that Athena is working on and pitches it as her own. The story is an Asian experience story, so June perpetrates that she is an Asian woman, and it goes from there. The social commentary for the story really lies in that the white woman pretending to take on the story of this Asian woman's lived experiences, and then having the audacity to be shocked, appalled, and offended when she's called out. And so this was such a good book. I had always been intimidated by R.F. Kuang because the only other book I know of hers is Babel or the Poppy War, and I wasn't sure that this was going to be was I going to be good enough to read this book, because it seems like she writes really deep books. But this book was very accessible and very enjoyable. And like I said, I recommend it all the time because it's got a good social commentary piece that can't be missed. This year, I welcomed so many different genres to my palette, and one that I got really into were thrillers. And so in July, I read the thriller Hidden Pictures by Jason Rekulek. I highly recommend this book, and I remember so distinctly reading this book and showing you guys the images on my vlogs at that time. So this story is all about a woman who's working as a nanny. She's fresh out of like a halfway house in a way, and she gets this nanny job for a family. And the mom immediately likes her and wants her on. The dad's a little bit more hesitant, but she starts working there, and she notices that the son has an imaginary friend. And this imaginary friend is everywhere, and the son draws pictures of the friend. And the pictures and the artwork become more and more evil looking and strange. And they are on paper. He draws on the walls. It's just very next level. So throughout the story, the nanny tries to figure out what's going on. The parents are in complete denial, and it just kind of spirals from there in a thrilling way. The ending was something I could not have anticipated, but I highly recommend this book if you like scary. If you don't like scary, don't do it, because the moment you look at the illustrations in the book, which kudos for books with illustrations, but when you look at the illustrations, you're going to be horrified. Horrified. It's so scary, but I still love it. In August, I was introduced to the Scythe series, and so my 5-star read in August was Scythe by Neal Shusterman. I absolutely love this book and series. I'm still reading the 3rd book, The Toll, and I will finish that by the end of the year. So this book is sort of a dystopian style novel, right? We're in like a post society, sort of like modern future, in which the United States is sort of divided up into regions, and we no longer have natural causes of death anymore. That's all been solved, but we do now have Scythes, who are trained professional killers, right? They go through, they look at data to see, like, in the 2000s, what was the #1 reason that teens would die? Okay, it's drunk driving, so then they kill a teen because a teen would have died for natural causes, right? And so this book has a very political element to it, as well as just a fascinating backstory, and the mind of Neal Shusterman in this book is very interesting. Really liked this. Not something I would normally have picked up. It is YA, but it's so good. Totally recommend it. The next book I read in September that I gave a really high rating to, I don't think this one was 5 stars, but props for representation. This is The Name Drop by Susan Lee. She also wrote Soulmates maybe last year, and I really enjoy her writing. And this cover, oh my gosh, you guys, amazing, chef's kiss. So this book follows Elijah and Jessica, and they are both coming to New York for different reasons. Elijah is coming to learn how to be a CEO like his father, and Jessica, coming from a more poor, meager family, is coming to New York to be an intern. And in Korean, the way you pronounce their names is very similar, and so they kind of end up switching places. And Jessica lives this fancy life as the CEO's child, and Elijah lives this sort of peasant intern life. He loves it because he doesn't want to be the CEO of the company. He wants to be seen as his own person. He doesn't want to be given things and have all these privileges. And she's utterly confused. But they find out that they have traded places and they begin working together to keep their secret under wraps. And then I'll let you figure it out from there. Such a good book, and loving authors of color. I think we need to support more authors of color. Okay, there is no question that in October, my favorite book was The Woman in Me. This is the Britney Spears memoir. I've talked about this so much, but I really, really enjoyed it. So as a longtime Britney Spears fan, I loved hearing her voice in all the gossip and rumors that we've heard over the years. When it came out, there was like a little bit of scandal on like her talking about Justin and this and that. His sentences are like a blurb, okay? So don't get the book for that. It's really about her journey, her life, and how she's been silenced for so much of her life, right? And so it's only about 280 pages, which is super short for a memoir, but it is fascinating. And if you follow Britney Spears or were a part of that scene at all, you will hear references to the places she's been, where she was at certain times, and you will be reminded. And so excellent pick. The last book that I am going to be sharing for 2023 is in November, because I'm still reading plenty of books in December still. But in November, I read the book Powerless by Lauren Roberts. I had been hearing so much about this book, and I think so many of the YouTubers that I watch had gotten arcs of it, and I was ready when it came out. I think I even pre-ordered it. And I ended up giving this 4 stars, which for me, for a fantasy, that's pretty high. But this story follows, Peyton and, what's the other person's name? I can't remember. But Peyton is in a society with elites and ordinaries, and elites have some type of magical power. Ordinaries do not. Peyton is sort of perpetrating as somebody with power, but she has no power, and they have this sort of like Hunger Games sort of challenge that's going to be happening, and everybody thinks Peyton has power because she helps to save a prince, and she's tapped to join these games, but she has no powers. I remember that I devoured this book, and I'm ready for book 2, but I will have to go in and just double check my notes on my scribe about this book, because I want to get all the details right. And the book did leave on a cliffhanger, so I'm super excited to get back into that. So those are all of the books that I would select as my top books for 2023 each month. This year has been an amazing year of reading, not only for the total amount of books, but the types of books and the genres that I introduced to myself this year, and so excited to get into more next year. As always, thank you so much for watching. If you liked this content, go check out my other things that I've posted to see if you would like to subscribe. We'd love to have you. I post on Thursdays and Sundays. Please like, comment, subscribe, and we'll see you next time. Bye, guys.